And welcome to SEC Sports Roundtable. This is your host, Shane Bailey. We've got Drew Young here in the house. Welcome, Drew.
What's up, Shiner?
What's going on?
Just Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Nice 3-day weekend. Get to play a little golf tomorrow. No work. Excited. Good sports. Watching a little Indy 500, which, yeah, it's a fun thing to watch. I don't really care who wins or anything, but it's just a good day, man. A great hot day here in Nashville.
I could say something morbid right now about that, but I guess I won't.
About the guy that...
Yeah, I mean, you could watch somebody that dies later in the year. I mean,
well, that's what. Yeah, that happened last year. That's
because he won. Didn't he? Was that not? I mean,
he won. Dan Weldon won the 500 last year, and I think it's going to be pretty neat. I think, depending on who wins, but I think they'll do a pretty good tribute to him or something.
I would hope so. I mean, because he was an up and coming star.
He was
or was he a
superstar? Yeah,
he was already there.
Yeah,
okay.
He was kind of a little more. Once again, I don't follow this, but I follow sports. My dad loves racing.
But you like milk, so
yeah. I mean, I think he won the 500 a couple times. He was a past champion maybe a couple times. Was kind of a little more in hard times. I think last year. It's weird. He won the Indianapolis 500, but I don't think he really had a sponsor. That's what the controversy was last year, was that he was in this race racing really hard, but he didn't have a sponsor. And I think they fielded the team themselves, and then he died on that race. So yeah, I mean, I think this will be a pretty cool celebration for whoever wins. I mean, I would imagine, unless it's some no name that didn't know him or something like that. But we'll see, man. It's a great everything. Got the Blair's big SEC championship baseball today. What time does that start, Blair?
2:30.
2:30, and we've got his Mississippi State Bulldogs and local team Vanderbilt in it. So it's going to be a wonderful game that I probably won't watch much of, but Blair will watch more of it for all of us. So.
Yeah, we're celebrating Memorial Day podcast style with some drinks. So
that's right.
We'll raise a toast to everyone that's out there watching us streaming live here Memorial Day. We'll raise our glasses to you.
Don't know what this is. It's some margarita beer mix that Shane's lovely wife Haley fixed for us, and it's good. So.
And a little Modelo for Blair. He did.
Yeah, cerveza there for you.
Cerveza. So we're celebrating Memorial Day here at Casa Bailey, or SECSRT headquarters, whatever you want to call it. But we are, and of course we know now Blair Smyly is our third host today. But we are trying something different today. We are on Ustream. This is going live out into the internet, so hopefully we're going to catch some people checking in and listening to us and see what's going on that way. So we're going to try doing those as well. But you can still catch us all the standard ways, which is going to be on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, the website itself, Facebook, and YouTube. And I noticed our YouTube hits have been way up the last couple of weeks. So, thank you guys for finding us on YouTube and checking that out. We appreciate that so much. But let's get right into things. We have a busy week to talk about in the SEC sports world. It's all going to be baseball related, so Drew's going to be so excited. He's turned his microphone off. At least it's not moving.
Let's talk about softball, man. Lady Vols trying to make it to Omaha. They play in Omaha. I don't know where they play.
I have no idea. The only ones I've seen is Alabama and their hosses that they actually have playing.
They got big girls, man.
It was unbelievable. I don't know why.
They play a different style of softball in.
It was weird because they were playing. It was the SEC tournament. That's what it was. And State was playing. I just was like, I have never watched Mississippi State softball. And they got the coach from Alabama that had been an assistant under the guy forever. And I was just like, they don't have a prayer. I mean, State had these nice feminine-looking ladies and big
two styles of softball.
Yeah.
You can go for
the more finesse, I guess.
Left-handed slap hitters, and it's really neat. I mean, it's
got a lot of strategic.
I'd say it's a fun sport to watch, just because it's quick and it's still a form of baseball. Obviously, I mean, it's the same concept, but it's so fast-paced, and it's mostly about the pitcher. And it's weird to think they play on a 200-foot fence, and my 10-year-old nephew is playing baseball on a 200-foot fence right now. But I mean, they throw so hard and they're so close. It's just, it's really about the pitcher mostly.
Yeah, but Tennessee was on like this crazy roll there, like 20 straight games or something, 19,
Tennessee,
something like that.
So you got to be good at something.
Yeah, I understand.
And now, I mean, what's the equivalent? You know how they, in T-ball and softball, when they do Little League World Series, they show the equivalent of what that ball's coming in. Yeah,
if they throw like 72 or something in Little League, it's like 94. And
because of the pitcher's mound's so much closer.
Yeah, I think it's
what's the equivalent? Because, I mean, those women are throwing. They're coming in with smoke.
Well, I'll tell you this. I know they've done this a few times where they get a fast-pitch softball player and pitch against like a major league
Right.
player, and it's difficult. I mean, that major leaguer. Now, if they ever get a hold of one, it's going to go a long ways. But not only do you have to deal with in baseball, you've got your fastballs or your sliders or your curveballs. I mean, just kind of tailing away from you. In softball, they throw like rise pitches. They go up. The whole time because they're so close to it. So I think it's just a different phenomenon, and I would say it's the equivalent of hitting high 90s fastballs when you get a fast pitcher. If you remember, Tennessee had a girl named Monica Abbott who pitches for
that's right.
the national team, and she threw the ball like 6 or 7 miles per hour faster than anybody else.
Didn't Frank Wycheck say that he could hit her or something?
Well, yeah, he said he
could
hit her, and they actually set up. They didn't. It wasn't her. It was like Tennessee's number 2 starter, which threw the ball literally 7 or 8 miles per hour slower, which is still one of the better pitchers in the game, and he didn't come close. Like he didn't foul off anything. So
that was awesome.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
Women's softball.
I love this podcast already.
Who thought we would have started a podcast with women's softball?
We got plenty to talk about.
You never know what you're going to get on the roundtable here. We do have some baseball action we'll talk just a minute about. I'm through talking baseball until at least next week.
Yeah, until
we have to play Mississippi State again. But we are in the middle of the SEC tournament down in Hoover, Alabama. Just go on and gloat and kick it off and tell us all about it, Blair.
Nah, I mean it's. I think we got the 2 hottest teams in the SEC. I think Vanderbilt tried in a 9-game winning streak and has won. I think 11 out of their last 13, if I'm not mistaken. And then Mississippi State is. They've been on a tear here in the last 2.5 weeks as well. I think they're 7-1 against top 15 teams in that span, and so I'm interested to see. I think Vanderbilt, they've played one less game this week, and State they threw their number 1 pitcher against LSU in the second game, and so they've really kind of patched together. But that's kind of the story of State all year is that they've had the pitching. It's just the hitting. And staying healthy throughout the year, so they're finally healthy to somewhat degree, and they're getting enough clutch hitting and opportune times to get it done. So they're winning games 2-1, 4-3, the typical deal. But I think today is going to be an interesting game. I mean, both of them play kind of the same small ball stuff, and it's just going to be whoever has enough pitching left.
And one thing that's a little different this year, now that they went to a 10-team format, is Kentucky made it to single elimination, and that's how they lost. Their first loss put them out, as opposed to Mississippi State, who lost earlier in the week to Kentucky, and turned around and got to face them again in the
it's kind of strange how it works, because I mean, State won the first game, Kentucky won the first game, but since they were a higher seed, they got the bye. So State then had to play LSU, the number 1 team. Same thing in the lower bracket with who was it? South Carolina, I think. And so that's where you pick up the extra game. That's why we were wanting Ole Miss to win so that we could get the day off. But you could tell that third day in a row really caught up with them because Kentucky was ready to play and put it to us, and then. Next thing you know, you battle one to get LSU and win that one, and then you get Kentucky again.
But the thing is, Kentucky had another day off Friday. Today's Sunday. Friday. They had another day off. They didn't play Friday.
That's right, yeah.
So they had the luxury of being able to play that Tuesday. Was it Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday? Is that how they got their day off?
It was Tuesday, then they got off on Wednesday.
And then they didn't play
Thursday.
Yeah, and then they played. Then they played Saturday. Okay, my days are off, but the days off are correct.
Yeah.
So.
It's been a long ways through the tournament, but State right now State and Vanderbilt are just as hot as can be, and that's what you need. I mean, Vanderbilt I think is a little bit different scenario where they were just young. They just had inexperience. They hadn't had a lot of guys that had played. They lost a tremendous amount off the team last year, and so now they kind of rounded into shape and gained a little bit of confidence. So they're going to be a tough out. I mean, I tell you what, if Mississippi State, which I don't think they're getting the host to a regional, but we'll know here in a little bit, but whatever regional gets number 2 Mississippi State or number 2 Vanderbilt, they're not going to be happy.
That's not a good draw.
I mean, because they're as hot as they can be, and both of them can pitch, and Vanderbilt can hit better than State.
And it could be a lot of cannibalism, too, with so many good teams in the SEC hosting a regional. Is there a rule? Are there any rules that
I don't know.
Can't go to LSU's regional or anything like that? Or
no, because I don't know how that works in the regional side of things. Typically, you don't have that. But the super regional is what because Mississippi State.
Hold on,
let
me stop you just a second, and I'm thinking there's probably some casual fans that don't understand how that process works leading up to the World Series of baseball. Or the College World Series, but it's the World Series for some.
Yeah.
But there's 16
regional sites that got 4 teams,
and so each one of those regionals then leads to a super regional, and there's 8 super regionals. So what you'll have is that today, when the sites are announced, you'll have 8 national seeds. So what that means is those top 8 are guaranteed to host a super regional if they win their regional. So those 8 teams basically have their home field all the way to Omaha, if that's the case. You'll have 16 host sites, and so depending on who wins those, like last year, Mississippi State was a surprising 2 seed and went through the Georgia Tech site and ended up having to play at Florida. And Florida was a national seed, and then you go in the super regional, you play 2 out of 3, best 2 out of 3. Between 2 teams. So it's a pretty cool scenario since they changed that about 6 or 7 years ago, I think it is. But and then now Omaha is a totally different experience with a new stadium.
Yeah, do they still call that Rosenblatt, or is it a different stadium?
It's something else now. And there's a lot of people that I think it's going to take a little time to get used to because
is this the first year? Or?
Last year was the first year. And they put it right in the middle of it's actually downtown Omaha, whereas Rosenblatt was kind of on the outskirts and kind of in amongst neighborhoods and that type of stuff. So it was kind of a neat aura. Yeah. Because what they said is that the buses pulled up to a big grand entrance to Rosenblatt, and you actually walked through the crowd to go to your locker rooms and stuff. So it was a very fan-friendly atmosphere, and this one's going to be a little bit more commercialized. So we'll see how it works out.
Well, and all indications are from the things we're seeing, we're going to have, from the SEC standpoint, 8 teams make it?
Yeah.
And 4 of those host?
Yeah, and we could possibly have – well, you're going to have – you would if Kentucky gets it, I think they're the 4th one. But you got LSU, South Carolina, and Florida that are pretty much guaranteed locks, if not national seeds. Then you'll have Kentucky. Arkansas is going to be there. Vanderbilt's now going to be there. Mississippi State's going to be there. So, does a team like, I don't think an Auburn or somebody like that gets a lower seed. I think you're at least going to have 8, if I'm thinking correctly. Because on the East, you got Florida, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and who else? Kentucky. And then on the other side, you're going to have LSU.
Drew's over here whispering Tennessee.
Yeah,
that softball program LSU. Could probably.
Tennessee's resting all their starters. That's why they skipped the SEC tournament, right?
Yeah, Ole Miss should be in there. I would think.
So we're maybe 10.
No, because on the west side you got LSU, Mississippi State, and Arkansas that are pretty much guaranteed.
And you said in Ole Miss, you think?
You got Ole Miss. I don't think Auburn gets in there, but who knows, man? We'll know it shortly.
In the 16 teams, there's 64 total, or 16 regionals. There's
64
4
total,
making 16 or 64. Skills. These Garderitas are working on me, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's it. We'll know here later this afternoon who the.
Yeah, the SEC tournament, it just depends on how seriously you take it. Every year you have some of the teams that line up their pitching for the regional, and I think in this year, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt really wanted to make a big push to solidify their regional sites where they could go to.
I think Mississippi State was probably settled in there, but Vanderbilt had to win a few games to be a number 2 seed.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and
that's gonna be tough coming in as a 3 seed, knowing not only having to beat that one, but knowing you're gonna get.
And the other
first
thing
game
is,
against
did y'all see the triple steal last night?
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, and it was number 5 on SportsCenter, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. Who cares that Josh Hamilton was, he was feeling bad. He saw stars, then he hit a home. Josh Hamilton hits a home run every night. How many times do you see a triple steal, dude?
It's unbelievable. I'm telling you here. I'm going to tell you something, and this is probably not good advertising in the middle of a podcast where basically we've
about
talked
baseball,
about.
college baseball.
College baseball is just it really is
Oh, yeah.
behind 7 or 8 or 9 other
Oh, yeah.
things.
It's
I'm
right.
telling
Well,
you,
if
I'm
you
telling
look-
you, college softball is not far behind college
If
baseball.
you look at ESPN to find college baseball, you
Yeah.
have to go to
Other
other
sports.
sports,
Yeah, more sports.
and then college sports,
Yeah.
and then inside there you can find a link for some college
It's right
baseball.
there with college golf.
Yeah, and
But
lacrosse.
the thing
and
about
field
baseball-
hockey.
I'm not so sure lacrosse isn't right around where
Yeah.
baseball is.
But I think
if the College World Series wasn't as cool, here's the thing: is what's
That's-
crazy is I'll
yeah.
talk
That's
about this.
where
And I'm not
people pick it
going
up.
to a Vanderbilt game, and I'm not going to. I went to some Tennessee games when I was there, but one of my goals in life, one of my bucket list items, I want to go to Omaha.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a wonderful trip. I mean, just
Yeah.
see so much good baseball, and I think in person it would be great. But
That's
you
the
say
whole
you
thing,
go to those
baseball.
games in person, I think that would be a lot more
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
Just on TV, I don't know why. I mean, it's
Well,
just,
I think
baseball is
you-
a tough sport unless you follow it and you know the players. Because the thing about baseball that's so much fun are stats and and the history and all that. And when you're a casual fan and you don't know that the triple steal hadn't happened very often.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why I'm a big college baseball fan is because when I was 8, 9 years old, my cousins were sneaking me into Mississippi State baseball games with Will Clark, Rafael Palomero, Brantley, Bobby Thigpen, that whole team that 82, 83 went to the College World Series. So I watched those, and so obviously it's a big deal at Mississippi State. It's always been a big deal, but. It is right. It's not a huge following. Most people will pick it up about now. And the SEC tournament really isn't always that big of a draw simply because it's not like basketball where you have a lot of stuff that's riding on it. A lot of times people take that week off to line up their pitching, so it's typically not a dominant deal. I can tell you one thing I can guarantee today, though.
What's that?
Vanderbilt will be outnumbered in the attendance by a long shot.
Well,
There will be
look at
Eight to
Hoover's
nine.
proximity to Starkville. How far is that? 2 hours?
Birmingham. Yeah, it's about two hours. Yeah.
I mean, you probably got double that here.
Nah. Here?
Three
2.5 hours.
At least
to-
3.5.
To Hoover?
It's
Yeah,
the
it's
other
about
side
3
of
hours.
Man, it's less than 3.
no,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
other side of
65.
Birmingham.
Yeah, right on the other side. 3 hours.
Shane does drive about 40.
Well, let's see.
Time,
if
so.
you're coming from Starkville, I would give 65 4 lanes a whole lot more than 82 from Starkville to Tuscaloosa. So it's about 2.5, I'd say, to Mississippi from Mississippi State. So it's a pretty good ways. But
it's Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt doesn't.
Vanderbilt,
They
yeah.
don't follow.
They don't even
But
come
you're
to
going
the
to have a
home
lot
games.
of you're going to have a lot of the Mississippi State fans that are in the area that are going to just come out because it's the championship game, and they'll have a chance to just go through. And it falls on a good weekend too to be able to do that on a Sunday.
Well, I know Drew's been dying to talk about some Tennessee, and we've been not giving him his due, shutting him down with softball.
I
and
like how we gave him the orange cord, by the way.
I always get the orange.
Yeah, I do that on purpose, and you notice I don't give myself the blue cord.
I don't understand.
I don't see a blue cord.
It's still here. I have one.
You're
I can
saving
pull it out. I'm saving it for. I should have brought it out after the national championship. Like I was saying,
Throw that out casually.
I just slipped that in.
Deserve it, man. That was a good team.
It was.
We didn't give him any props during our baseball segment here. He tried to bring up softball, and we pretty much kiboshed that. But I think Tennessee was in the news this week. They did some stellar performances, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean it was. It's a kind of a.
If you're going to go big, I mean, how many did he take?
The report we're talking about clearly is Cam Clear, tight end for Tennessee. I mean, played a lot of games last year. Only had 4 catches, but just a freak type athlete. I mean, one of those 6'4", 240 guys that can run. I mean, it kind of cut from the same cloth that you're seeing the Gronkowskis and the Jimmy Grahams, those type. Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates. I mean, that's what had all the Tennessee fans hyped. Well, he's was accused. And then arrested for stealing from other athletes in the athletic dorm, and now has been dismissed from the team. So clearly there was enough evidence to say he did it. Not the smartest guy. Stole a laptop from one of the baseball players, and then used it on campus. And they just traced like the whatever. I mean, Shane, you'll know more.
VIP.
Yeah, I don't know if it's IP, whatever. They traced something from it. And he was sitting like at the entrance of Neyland Stadium, and And UTPD just kind of rode up, and he just shut the laptop, and they
because they had
arrested him.
been looking for like 2 weeks, right? Or
Yeah.
they had been kind of investigating it because it was like 2 or 3 weeks earlier that happened.
It was in the middle of April when all this happened, and I think they, I don't know if they knew what was going on, but he was arrested, and I mean, you can say what you will, and everybody talks about, you want to give these second chances because you see what happens. Cam Newton, everybody will agree, Cam Newton, had his troubles at Florida and at Bend Community College. I mean, he was absolutely accused of taking laptops and cheating on tests, but look what happened with Auburn giving him a second chance. I mean, it was warranted. I mean, he deserved a second chance. He got it, and then he wins a national championship and a Heisman Trophy, and look what he's done in the pros, and he hasn't gotten in trouble. I mean, it's one of those things that's so hard because under no circumstance as a Tennessee fan, you can make the argument, but you can't justify not kicking a guy off the team. But he's gonna, if he gets a second chance and he goes to Mississippi State and plays well. I mean, Tennessee brought in Deion Bonner. We've already talked about this guy that got caught stealing from Georgia. And of course, you can give that second chance if it's not your team.
Right.
It's just like your hands are tied, and you can't, because if you don't kick them off, they don't learn that lesson, and maybe they don't become the better person and the better player for
but
having done that.
I think the recruit's a little bit of a different scenario because he did that at Georgia, and they weren't his team. He just stole something. It's a little bit different when it's your team or it's your own athlete, people. I think that's the kicker, and he'll get a second chance. But I think the recruit is more of a national thing of you're going to offer the kid because he did this, he's going to pay his penalty, he's got 2 more years of high school, and I'm going to recruit him.
But there's also a penalty. He has to sit out a year even if he gets picked up from another school, right? I mean,
if he goes to
it's the same
Division
as
I.
Yeah, I mean, Cam went and played for Division II. So I mean, in essence, that was some punishment. He wasn't going to get the same coverage that he would in a Division I school by going to a Division II, but he did take him to a national championship.
Sure.
But if he chooses to go to a Division II school, he's not going to get near the same coverage that he would. So there are some repercussions there. But was he a sophomore?
He is. Oh, he's a freshman. He'll be a sophomore next year.
So he'll still have if he goes to
he's still got a redshirt year. I mean, he'll have 3 years to play.
Yeah. So. In the long run, it's probably not going to do him much damage at all, except it's not going to be in orange and white.
I mean, it's one of those things where Tennessee fans are that's what's bad about college football, especially being a Tennessee fan right now, is we've talked about this numerous times. When you're a top 10 program, which they were in the late 90s and early 2000s, you're not satisfied with being a top 25 program. And look, I mean, they were a top 25 program towards the end of Fulmer's run and got rid of, Philip Fulmer. And now, I mean, Tennessee is, I'd say they're a top 40 program. I mean, but I mean, that's just ridiculous when you think. And so Tennessee fans they're so upset because Cam Clear was big. I mean, we have to kind of put it in perspective. He was a freshman. He's not even coming in being the starter. I mean, Mike Rivera is going to be the starting tight end. He really, Brennan Downs
He was
played
another tackle that actually had good hands. I mean, really is what he was from a running standpoint. I think that's the big emphasis, is that he was going to get playing time and help. He could go in there and you don't waste the ability of, this is just a catching tight end. You're not going to get any blocking out of him. He was big enough to be that dual threat.
But, here's what you got to look at. First of all, if Tennessee's going to be successful, defense has got to be better. But, really their offense is what you're going to count on. And if you're going to lose an offensive player, he's about number 15 or 16? You'd much rather lose him than
it's weird.
Bray or the receivers or the offenve line or the running backs.
Well, isn't Dooley? Dooley's a tight ends coach by trade, right?
Yeah, that's his background.
But it's weird because they've relied more on a receiver than the tight ends. Fulmer's day, you had those like the Jason Wittens and those big guys that were really a big part of the offense. And the tight ends really, I don't think they used Rivera as much as they probably should have.
Rivera was the second leading receiver on the team last year.
But
was that before Justin went out?
What's that?
But
Hunter only played two games.
But it wasn't really.
He wouldn't have been. No, he had to step up because the running game wasn't as good, and
they lost.
And they lost their best receiver. So
that's kind of an unfair.
Young quarterbacks in there, and your tight end's going to be your outlet. So, but Rivera played a big part, and Rivera was going to catch more passes than Clear this year. People just wanted. It's one of those things where you cheer for the backup quarterback,
right? Not
because clearly if the backup quarterback was better than the starter, he'd be starting, but he's unknown, and you know what you've got with a starter. And Michael Rivera is a fine player, but he's not a game changer like Georgia's had at tight ends or Florida's had with tight ends in the last few years. But since we don't know what Clear can do, all you can go off of is his vertical and how big he is and his 40 time.
Combine talk.
Exactly. So I don't think it's. I think the thing that is pretty exciting is Tennessee hadn't been in the news. If they go the rest of this summer with only, their two big stories being
really
Derek Rogers, who had a bad attitude, but he's a good kid. He's just he's an idiot, when it comes to he got in trouble and didn't want to run.
Right.
And then the other one being this arrest. When's the last time? I mean, they named they called it the Fulmer Cup because Tennessee used to get so many players arrested.
It was interesting because I think the other kid that actually got arrested actually had everything dropped, and it was more of like a drunken stupor deal where it was, I can't remember the kid's name, but that was really the only thing in the last 12 months, and it was all dropped. And so, I mean, outside of this, it's a pretty good little run.
That stuff.
No, it wasn't. It was, that Dooley, when he came in, he inherited that big bar fight thing.
Yeah.
But after that, there was an offensive lineman or a player or something that basically was intoxicated or something.
Yeah, I can't
And then he came out and basically said that it's all going to get dropped because I wasn't doing this and blah, blah, blah. And it ended up being dropped. But that's really the only other one, I think, outside of the bar incident.
Yeah.
And so that's a pretty good little run.
And you got Florida, who's had quite a few arrests. And
I mean,
all
that place
talk
was
about,
just
God,
that
how
place
about
was
Ohio State? Urban Meyer, man.
46. And they got more coming. I don't know, man.
That's just ridiculous. I mean, he comes in and has that many.
I mean, I know some of them are chewing tobacco and stuff, but Lane Kiffin gets roasted for 15. I mean,
Chewing tobacco is a secondary offense.
Yeah, Vrabel, Mike Vrabel. You remember he was the linebackers coach or whatever at Ohio State. He was chewing tobacco. That's a secondary violation because there is no tobacco. It's non-tobacco. I remember that. And even as low of a NCAA tier that I played in was you couldn't. They had everywhere you could go was all about tobacco and the non-use of tobacco.
Now Kentucky has a waiver, do they not? Kentucky and North Carolina, they've got a waiver for that.
For athletes participating in doing that?
No, for tobacco.
Well, I don't know. But
there ain't nothing else to do in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, they drink moonshine.
But I mean, long story short, I think it's a big deal to some Tennessee fans, but nobody else is really looking at it like that. It's not a huge loss, and it's really, in my opinion, shines a little bit of light on the fact that usually, and I guess it's kind of a catch-22, is because I hate to say it, but usually when your program's better, you're going to have more of this trouble. But I mean, Tennessee hadn't been in trouble, and that's great, for what Dooley's doing. But bottom line is he's got to win, and if he doesn't win,
Miami Hurricanes were better when they had the. What did they say?
Convicts versus the Catholics back in the day.
They're better whenever the what was the guy that said that had the as long as they had police sirens going in the school song song, they were always better.
Well, there is one other bit of news in the football realm. We'll switch gears a little bit and stay on that subject. And any major wrecks that have happened that you noticed? I've not been able to catch any of it.
Shane, I'm gonna when this gets big, I think we'll have to go with maybe like a little bit bigger of a TV. I'm a little squinting. I can't read it over there. I can see. I feel like the person that took the place of Danica Patrick is near the front, and I know that Marco Andretti was running good, but I couldn't tell you how many laps are left. I guess I got the internet on my computer. I can look. But.
There is that thing that's sitting at our table. Yeah, when we make it big and get some huge sponsors, we'll get some 50-inch TVs, like just the other side of the cameras. Does that work for you?
Hey, Drew, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Since I haven't seen you in a while. Tennessee and NC State, now they're playing, Friday night, open up the season?
Yes.
Do you feel like that is a huge, must-win? There was a big debate this week talking about, I think, with those first 4 games on what they need to kind of start out the gate. And I'm sitting there going, if I'm a Tennessee fan, you got to win NC State. You got to at least win NC State or Florida. But I don't know, if you lose that one with a taste of the Kentucky and kind of in the last thing you've seen, what's it going to be like? I
don't know. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, here's what I can go off of in the past. I mean, say what you will, I don't think NC State is.
I don't either.
I think they're a fine non-conference opponent, but it's not like when Tennessee would go.
That's why I'm a little bit confused.
Play Cal or something like that. It's a tough game because NC State is better than people think, and they returned a decent amount of starters from a team that went to a bowl last year. So fairly good team. I think it's more important. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's just another game when at the end of the season. If they lose to NC State but beat Georgia, it's one of those things. You need to win one or the other. I agree. If they win, I mean, I guess it'd be much better to lose at NC State and beat Florida. But I do think you're right. I think as far as momentum, if Tennessee has the talent on offense,
right,
and their schedule is tough, but it's not. I mean, it's
they got to run
100% easier than it was last year. It's one of those games where if you want to have any chance to, I'm not saying win the SEC East, but compete and get better, and for Dooley to keep his job, that kind of stuff, you want to have positive momentum. And if you can start the season off in a game where everybody's going to be watching, and Tyler Bray is hot, and Justin Hunter shows that he can, he can step up, and if you get that passing game going, you're going to get the running game going, and you show people, look, oh, wow, Tennessee is outclassing NC State. So, yes, I think as far as momentum, I do agree. I'm not saying it's a must-win, but it's a must-perform well.
Right. Because I think, when do y'all play Georgia? The 5th game, right?
Yeah.
So you got to get out, and it's at Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because I think you got to be 3-1 at the worst going into that Florida game. I mean, because I think the Georgia game, you could just pretty much say it's going to be a tough one to win at Georgia.
Sure.
With what they got coming back with Aaron Murray and all that stuff. But it's going to be interesting. I was just interested in the debate this week about it, and I'm sitting there as a casual fan going, I don't see NC State being this juggernaut that. I think that if you lose to NC State, that opens up a whole new possibility of, okay, now everything gets even tighter, and it's the first game of the year.
I think it's very similar to that Cincinnati game last year that Tennessee had, where on paper and just by name recognition, you think Tennessee is about a touchdown better. And I think that's – I don't know what the spread will be, but I think they'll be, a 5 or 6 point favorite, maybe a 4 or 5 point favorite since it's a neutral site and it is a big game. But on paper, you think, hey, Tennessee can go out there and if Tennessee does what they did against Cincinnati, because if you remember after that game, I mean, Tennessee was riding high. I mean, you're sitting there going to the Florida game going, hey, we can score with anybody.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you lose your best player. Yeah. It's hard. So I think it's kind of the same thing. It's a momentum setter.
Right.
And
because of Florida, you get Florida at home, right?
Yes.
And Florida's not all – I mean, they're still – I mean, they got quarterback issues. And so, I mean, there's a good possibility you can be. I think the middle stretch, don't you play at Starkville, then you have Alabama at home, and I think at South Carolina maybe?
Yes.
But you played Florida well the first half. I mean, you actually had the lead, did you not?
It was a close game. I mean, Florida's offense, I mean, I think Florida is struggling to get any kind of semblance of – we talked about this all last year of trying to go away from the spread. I mean, Muschamp's not a spread guy, but they had spread players. Well, look at it this year. I mean, they don't. I mean, do they have either of those running backs now? I think they're both gone. I mean, they're going to have talent there, but this team.
I mean, they got quarterback stuff that. I mean.
Yeah, who are they going to play? Driscoll.
They got Driscoll and Brizzle or what? Or something.
Brizzle, not Driscoll.
Yeah, you got Snoop Dogg. You've got Driscoll and Brissett or Bristle or something like that.
Yeah, and so they're kind of neck to neck, and they're going to go into the off season, but I don't see them, and I think their defense is going to be about as salty as it's been since Urban had it going, or those days back then. I think they're really going to be good on defense, but I still think that they're going to have some issues, and so that's why I just found it as an interesting debate, and since we're here, didn't want to go off topic, but
we're staying with the football topic here, and we'll stay there and talk the other news that we got off topic a little bit there. Is the Big 12 and the SEC signed a nice agreement, and I heard that while I was out traveling, and so I've been very limited with the ability to catch up on the news, but it's for the number one SEC team that's not in a bowl game or not in the championship game.
Right, it's the SEC champion and the Big 12 champion is the way it's actually slated.
Now, who had that prior to this? That was my question. I never heard of it.
It's never been. This is the interesting thing, because most people, when they heard it, go, "Oh, this is Cotton Bowl. This is just the Cotton Bowl."
Well,
and I was like,
4 SEC.
Yeah, and I was like, well, no, it's not the Cotton Bowl, because this changes the whole game. Because what people don't understand, and I think this is what the Big Ten's problem is, just me looking at it, is they are really hung on this Rose Bowl. But if you look at all of just look at the Music City Bowl. It is a charitable organization, a nonprofit.
You need to use air quotes for this.
Yeah. It's a nonprofit organization where all the proceeds of the bowl, like you get your payout, But all the proceeds go to this nonprofit. They benefit from it. This game is going to be the first game that is owned by two conferences. So what is happening in that is that it's not going to happen until 2014, but basically the Big 12 and SEC basically just threw out a huge gauntlet to the Big 10 and the Rose Bowl and the Pac-10, Pac-12 or whatever they are, because what they're basically saying is now they got control of all the money that goes along with this bowl. So, yeah, if you have the SEC champion and they're in that +4 or that +1 scenario where it's the 4-team playoff, they're not going to be there. It's going to drop down to the next one, but it's going to be guaranteed. I heard Mike Slive talk this week here on the Nashville radio that they're open to moving that around. They're open to settling on one spot, but they're also open and they don't have to do anything right now. I think the amazing thing about it is that it was kept secret. And nobody knew anything about it till like an hour before it came off. But I was so amazed whenever I turned on talk radio and heard about it, and I started reading it, and I was like, well, this is totally different. And everybody was like, well, this is just a Cotton Bowl, and they were just kind of throwing it off as this. Well, the two top teams are going to be playing in the +4 or the 4-team scenario, so it's not going to be that big of a deal.
But who was slotted for the number 1 spot before this?
It was the SEC went to the Sugar Bowl and Big 12 went to the Fiesta Bowl.
But that was the number one SEC went to
because everything was tied to the BCS,
yes.
And now that the BCS is going to be pretty much gone, I mean they're saying, the Sugar Bowl doesn't matter because they're not going to have the national. Or they don't know. They might have the national championship, but you're going to go to this 4-team playoff. Exactly what Blair said. The big thing is this is no longer, and it's so smart because it's all about money. That's all we talk about. And instead of giving the Cotton Bowl all that money, the SEC and the Big 12 control. And I also think it's just a big bird flip to the Rose Bowl. You keep talking about how this is the grand, and we're not going to do this because we're the biggest and we always have the tradition. And the SEC, fine, we'll make our own tradition. We'll take the two best conferences that play for the national championship. Really, the SEC could pick the WAC, and that would be the best. They would be the best two conferences when you combine them because the SEC is so strong. It's really, if you think about it,
that's a good point.
With the exception of, if you really think about it, you've got the SEC. You've got Texas, who is very relevant.
Well, I tell you,
you've probably got USC, and you've got maybe Ohio State. Other than that, nobody's relevant.
Right. Well, what about this? This is what I thought was intriguing: is that the Big 12. I mean, you take less than 6 months ago, you thought the Big 12 was about to get blown up when the whole move of Texas A&M, and they were the weakest one. They were just going to basically become irrelevant or invaded. Now when you take a look back now, they have kind of strengthened themselves through this stuff, and now I believe you have the ACC and the Big East that are way more vulnerable, especially the Big East, to what's going to happen eventually with this these new leagues. But I think this +1 thing has changed the ball game. But I think it's pretty genius that now instead of saying, okay, I'm going to get $3 million payout or $15 million payout like a BCS bowl game gives to each one of the schools or whatever. I mean, this one's going to be.
Here's my conspiracy theory thinking.
Right.
Could this have been way back when A&M was negotiating leaving the Big 12, and they said, okay, we can do this, but let's work on putting something together? Could it have started way back then to say, okay, we'll let you leave, but this is what we're going to need?
It could have. I think the whole thing is that.
Because that would have appeased them from the money standpoint.
Right.
Because if you remember, magically most of that amount that they were going to have to pay in penalty for leaving disappeared. They absolved them of that. So, could that have been their way of coming to the table and saying, this is how we're going to come around this, work around this, and we're all going to benefit better in the long run?
It possibly could. Obviously they've been working on this, and there's a lot of things that are unknown about it. And Slive was pretty open about it that, it could be a scenario where they go and say, okay, let's bid it out, and, we actually rotate this game. But the cool thing about it is it's not going to be dictated on a bowl game. So I think for me that changes the game. Because I think this whole Fiesta Bowl scandal and mess basically brought to the forefront of what these bowl scenarios. What's the guy that used to be the AD at Vanderbilt that Plaster hated?
Gordon Gee?
No, the AD.
David Williams?
He's the Sugar Bowl head now. The one that fired Eddie Fogler.
Paul,
whatever his name was. He makes $650,000 a year for being the Sugar Bowl head. And I mean, they like showed all this stuff. I mean, it's just all the bowl games just make money for all the people that run the bowl games. And so now what's happening is that this whole social network, all this stuff is putting the pressure on the presidents and stuff to not be aligned.
So
with
could
those
this
people.
be the end of the bowls as we know it?
I don't think it's going to be the end of the bowls, but what I think what the conferences are saying is that we're leaning more towards the +1, a playoff, and the Slive's basically saying, and now the biggest deal is it going to be, how are they going to come up with those four? Is it going to be just the best four,
right,
or is it going to be conference champions, all that kind of garbage? But I think it's changing the game. So I don't know what the bowl system's going to have, and we don't know how. I mean, this is what I don't understand is the Big Ten, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the Big Ten, they're playing this Rose Bowl thing so hard that if they really thought about it, if there was basically the option to play the game, the +4 scenario, you remember, like the semifinals at campus sites were basically, it's kind of thrown out the window now.
Right.
And really regional sites or bowl scenarios or what's going to be the deal. I don't understand how the Big Ten doesn't play that card because they don't have anything. It's from October, that's it. They have nothing that's played anywhere in a Big Ten area that has any importance whatsoever. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to play that scenario where I don't understand why they're that hard on the Rose Bowl because I'm sitting here going, if you got the bowls, none of them are in North.
Yeah, I mean, because we've talked about Indianapolis would be a great facility, and they get you close to Purdue, which is a Big Ten team.
I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. I don't understand their alliance to the Rose Bowl because I mean the Rose Bowl is more important for all the ancillary things that go on besides the bowl.
Parades.
Yeah, the
flowers,
parades and all that kind of stuff.
The floral industry's in deep doo-doo.
But that's a big tradition. It's Pasadena. They'll just keep doing it. But I don't know. That was my rant. I apologize for taking up so much time. Drew's all bored over there.
I'm sorry. I'm just watching the Indy 500.
Did you figure out where our local guy, Dario Franchitti, is?
Dario Franchitti was leading the race. So it shows him leading the race. I think Marco Andretti just wrecked, which is he's been a guy that's been up there. And
Dario has not won the Indy yet, has he?
I think he's won it twice.
Oh, there we go. So,
but I could be wrong.
No, you're right, I think. I'm
going to look it up.
All right. Well,
by the way, that new bowl is called the Champions Bowl.
Yeah.
And what do you say? 10-1. It's going to be played in Jerry Dome.
Yeah, I think that's the case, but I think Slive was just basically saying we have the luxury of just waiting to see what all happens.
Sure, but that's where you got to play it, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the best place to play it.
So they've already got naming rights to it.
It's the Champions Bowl. I mean, that's what they're calling it right now. I'm sure it'll be the SECSRT Champions Bowl or whatever.
I was thinking Champions the gear. They're not the corporate sponsor.
So.
Okay,
I don't think so.
But we'll take them for SECSRT.
Champion.
Yeah, Champion.
I don't know if they got enough cash for us.
We could be wearing sweatshirts.
crappy sweatshirts and sweatpants with elastic at the bottom of them. And
stuff.
There
we go. We're going
Love you, Champion. I think I just squashed any chance Champion the sponsor us. I hate Champion.
We could pull them up to our knees.
Yeah. That's the way. One of them up like LL Cool J.
I think they're sold at Target now, though, so they've come a long way.
Target's a good store.
They're like the old cool cigarettes. You've come a long way, baby.
Cigarettes, man. Let's be sponsored by. Let's be
Marlboro.
Sponsored by a cigarette company. They got tons of money, surely. I mean, can we be sponsored by a cigarette company?
Why not?
I mean, you can't advertise on TV anymore.
Yeah, well.
Or can you? I don't think you can. I don't think you can advertise on TV. I don't know about the radio.
I don't even think they're on print ads anymore, are they?
No, I don't think so. Podcast, man.
But we'd have to have this big, huge disclaimer.
We'll be the Joe
listening
Camel
to this podcast may cause cancer.
Let's get
none of us smoke. We'll be like, I think this is a good chance to win the game next week.
We can get us a local company, CEO Cigars.
There we go.
So, that's a fine company right there, man.
The hand-rolled cigar.
Yeah, man.
That is a local company that has broken in and done very well.
We'd have to get some air purifiers installed at the house. I don't know.
Haley's going to divorce you. We're all have those little cancer things right here. We're talking
like those nasty commercials. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that they're trying to go for the shock and awe, but really, that doesn't. I don't smoke, so it doesn't deter me from it. But I don't think as a smoker, it's like, oh, because you're going to think that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their attitude. It's in anything that you do that can be dangerous. I mean, meth addicts say it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But then their teeth fall out.
True.
So, well, I know this has nothing to do with sports, but everybody that I hang out with knows that I'm a fan of technology too. And
Dario's one too.
Dario has one too.
I believe.
Tony Kanaan has not one.
I don't think Tony Kanaan's
That's who I was thinking of. We're rattling off some names here, aren't we?
Who else you want to talk about? You want to talk about Ryan Briscoe?
No, I want to talk about Facebook. And maybe you guys can help me out here because they had their IPO.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day after that, he got married. Now, from a total selfish aspect here, where does that fall in prenup? Does she get half? Does she not get half? Because she was with him even though they weren't married before he made all his millions.
I don't think so. I would think that
because there's got to be some sort of prenup there, and I've not heard anything talk about that. I don't care about the IPO.
I would guess that the prenup would disclose a certain amount regardless of what they make afterwards. Can't you do that now? Like, look, here's the deal. I feel like Tiger Woods did that. It's not that, I mean, yes, she might have rights to it afterward, but they sign in their prenup, they're saying if something happens, you get $200 million, so it doesn't matter what you make. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it should be.
So it's a flat fee prenup?
Shoot, man, she might be worth more than he is the way their stock's going. Talk about disappointing.
Well, I mean, when you ask for an extra 25% of stock options, that was what. And then you have the whole disaster that NASDAQ comes out with that delayed it 2.5 hours.
Who was it? Was it GM who,
Yes and no. I mean, because I'm not an investment banker, but the way I understand that is that the initial stock offering price is sold at 38, regardless of what the market does. So when you are an investor, when you're one of these large companies buying bulk amounts of this stuff, not the general public like me and you, you're buying it at 38. You're wanting to sell it on the open market to make a killing. So from Facebook's standpoint, it was perfect because they were able to sell all of it.
They've all got theirs at
at 38.
I think what they put in. I mean, some of them just got options for shares because they started, but I think it was supposed to be like around $1 is what the people that actually put in the hardcore money. That's really what.
So they made $37 a share.
Exactly. They made 37 times their money if they sold her, and it's still right now 32 times as valuable.
Well, and they're going to probably have to hold this for 6 months. A lot of those, once the initial offering comes, you can't just turn around and sell it.
Well, actually,
now there is a strategy where a portion of that gets to be leveraged from the beginning.
I know my brother-in-law actually put in for one, just him personally, just to see if he can get it, and they asked for him to hold it for 30 days, but didn't give him a requirement.
Okay.
So he could just turn it the next day if he wanted to.
But, it's the open market. When we're watching the NASDAQ, that's what those shares that have already been bought at 38 are selling for. Sure. So Facebook actually did the best they could because they sold it for the maximum amount. They were able to sell all their shares. Now, what it does on the open market.
Yeah, but they didn't sell. I mean, think about here's the thing, is what they're doing is they're setting the price for what their remaining shares are worth as well. And so they set it at 38. And yes, sure, I understand what you're saying is we got 38 for it on the open market. Now it's worth 32, so we did the best we could. But if it had gone for 38 and it goes up to 60, like some people projected, then all their other shares are now worth $60 a share, twice as much as they are. And I can assure you that Mark Zuckerberg has more shares that he did not sell, that he still owns. You know what I mean? So I think that I can assure you they would much rather the value go up than go down.
Yeah, when you're dealing with that amount, you're doing all that collaring and all that other crap that, it's way over my head. I mean, I remember reading a whole book on Cuban and his deal, when he got $3.5 billion.
Is that radio FM?
Yeah,
broadcast.net.
And, it was like his piece was like $3.5 billion, but he did a unique collar idea. I don't know how you do it, where you actually set the lows and highs and all that other kind of crap. And it was way over my head. I had to read like 3 pages like 4 times just to kind of get a grasp on how to understand it. But
so you don't think
because he's not dumping out $20 billion of stock. I mean, he's selling a portion of it, but
because he was also able to get rid of broadcast at its very height after he sold too. But I guess back to my initial question. So do you think she would have done better or worse if she'd gotten married the week before?
I don't think she had a choice.
Oh, I know she didn't have a choice.
I would say she would have done. Let's think.
See what I'm saying? Because then that would have been after the stock offering.
Let's just break this down to its simplest form of they set the price at $38 a share, so they were overall valuing Facebook as a whole at what, like
100 million shares at 38.
It was like $110 billion is what they value the company at. Well, now the shares are trading for $32. So technically Facebook is worth, what is that, about 15% less. So now it's worth like $89 billion. So in the span of 1 week since they've been married, she's drained,
Yeah, yes.
she's drained him of about $6 or $7 billion.
Yes, but if she would have married him Saturday before, then she would have been married before he actually received the options. Because see, they weren't exercised until after the stock went public. So since she married him post offering, now he has that money, but he received those shares before the marriage. So that was before the nuptial.
We just lost our last listener.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. That's one of those things where I need pen and paper and we don't have it, or I can just write on the desk here.
There we go.
But I still think probably their prenup includes. Shoot, man, get them on the podcast.
Well, hey, Zach, can you talk prenups and stuff on the roundtable?
Seem like you hate people and don't ever talk to the media. Do you want to talk to a low-level, not only podcast, but a sports podcast?
About your prenup.
Yeah. About your very intimate personal details. Probably not going to happen.
All right. Well, let's send it around and do our open mic, and we'll call this thing done here in a minute. Blair, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a little bowl going on today, a little shrimp bowl.
Yeah, I am too.
And watch my Bulldogs hopefully try to bring home an SEC championship.
Would that be called a low country boil?
That would be if you're in South Carolina.
But if you're not, it's just a bowl?
It's just a regular old bowl.
Okay. Even though the shrimp could have come from the low country?
Yeah. So, these came from the Gulf.
They did.
Yeah. So
I'm excited.
Head on everything, buddy.
That's the way to do it.
It's the only way to do it, man. Sorry I'm going to miss your crawfish bowl next week.
It's disappointing. I'm going to somehow ruin your family reunion and get you to come still. I've had a bunch of people tell me, how are you going to cook this stuff? I was like, well, I've been there every year. I kind of know how to do it. You just boil water. I mean, it's not like
it's not
rocket science, but you boil it too long, you're going to get mush, and it's going to be horrible. So we'll figure it out. Shane's been there every year, too, and he's taking over head chef duties this year. I don't know if he knows that yet, but
I can send you instructions if need be.
That's news to me.
That is. I've mentioned that before. I said you're head chef. I told you that 2 weeks ago. Now, whether you know it or not that you really are, you are. You can't trust Drew Young at these crawfish boils. At about 6:15,
the Bud Light's flowing.
He is much higher.
Have the kegs.
See, here's the deal. I don't think so. There was talk of possibly getting one. I'm not going to pay for one.
Yeah.
If I can get one.
You didn't last time either.
No, I had 4 that I kept on. I did because I had to keep them on ice for 2 weeks, and I literally spent $60 on ice because it was.
I would have just brought those inside. You Jill's using them as a coffee table.
Too heavy. But are you done, Blair? Are you done with your stuff? Do you have the crawfish boil? Excited about that? Movie recommendation. Saw a movie last weekend.
The Notebook.
Notebook was wonderful. No, it was the 5-Year Engagement, so it's definitely a movie for the ladies as well as the men. Very funny. It's it's one of your Judd Apatow movies. What's his name? Jason Segel is in there.
From How I Met Your Mother.
From How I Met Your Mother. He was very good. It reminded me of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which I thought was a very underrated
Another movie of his.
Exactly. Funny. Just enjoyed it overall.
Maybe you're just a Jason Segel fan.
I think he's funny. I think he's very funny. But it was definitely one of those romantic comedy, but a little dirtier at times,
Most of those movies, most comedies these days have that 10. And do you think that all started with something about Mary?
I think that was a big one.
I mean, that's like the first one you think of where it just took it to a new level. I mean, there were other comedies back in the 80s and 90s that were dirty, but that one just took it to a whole different level of dirty, don't you think?
I agree completely.
All right, well,
that's all I got.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm excited. I get 2 boils in the matter of 7 days. So we've got a shrimp boil tonight and a crawfish and shrimp boil next Saturday at Drew. So if you're in the area, you're just going to have to figure out where he lives. You're welcome to stop by. Bring your own beverage, we'll say, and there'll be plenty of food there.
Absolutely.
And so you can, real quick, let's go back around Twitter, Blair. Have you tweeted yet?
Have not. It's at Blair Smyly, SMYLY.
There you go.
I'm more of a follower.
You can get at Drew Young 20, and I'm more of a tweeter.
And I am at P. Shane Bailey. Of course, that's all our personal twits. You can follow our corporate one, our business one, or our podcast one.
Corporate, I love it.
Corporate, we're a corporate, as you can tell, drinking and sitting around in shorts. But you can follow that at SECSRT. The Facebook page is SECSRT, so you can just do a search there, and that's the same for our YouTube channel. Drew is in awe here. What's going on?
Last lap of the Indianapolis 500. Scott Dixon leading. He is Dario Franchitti's racing partner, and I don't know what's happening. Maybe he won the. I can't tell what happened. Anyways,
in yellow.
Well, it's under caution. The second place car tried to pass and spun out while trying to pass, and it looks like Franchitti's leading.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
Looks like they just got to finish it out.
Yeah, I don't think you race back. I don't know what happened. I think I don't know. We'll get some more on that. Scott Dixon or Dario Franchitti is going to win this race. One of the two.
Oh, there you go, guys. So, and with that, we'll call this podcast done.